Hey guys, Professor Bruce from B1 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here. Uh, I'm here with my student Max.
Hi guys.
We're here for episode 2 of Ask Professor Bruce. So Max, I know you had a whole week to prepare for this. I'm expecting some excellent questions for our audience today.
We do, Professor. We have
Oh,
some
very
great
nice.
ones. So, our first one is what made you choose jujitsu over other martial arts or sports?
For me, I think it was just at a young age. Uh, 90s cartoons had a strong martial arts influence. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, to name a few. So, waking up every morning, Saturday morning cartoons, kind of, you know, got the idea rolling of martial arts. But from there, a lot of my friends at the time in kindergarten were involved in karate, so I wanted to be in karate. I think what really attracted me to martial arts was the uniform. I wanted to have my own belt. I wanted to have my white kimono. But at the time, my parents were first generation Americans. They wanted, I think the biggest reason was we really couldn't afford it. But I think reason number two was that, um, you know, my family, like, so my family really didn't see the benefit, discipline, confidence building, skill building that jujitsu or that martial arts in general brings to youth and adult students. But what it did do was it planted the seed. So through many years of competing in soccer, baseball, American football, you know, I knew that once I was getting towards the end of my high school career, I wanted something where I could be competitive in, and but I could still focus on my schoolwork. The goal was always to get my college degree, and that was a priority over jujitsu, which it should be I think for a lot of people. But I still wanted to be able to have a good almost work-life balance, and jujitsu was able to provide that for me. While at the same time, like I said, it's something that I could compete in and have it be part of my hobby. And more important, give me structure. I didn't want to be the average college student that lacks structure, that feels lost. And jujitsu did that for me, right? It kept me on track. It kept me on track with my schoolwork. It kept me out of bad groups of friends, bad scenarios, bad places. Where I could have ventured into you know the stereotypical partying atmosphere, I guess, of college. Yeah, because of that, we're here today. What's my next
Our
one?
second one, Professor, is have you ever had to use your jujitsu in a real life situation?
So, good question. Conversation that I have with a lot of parents and a lot of um, adults in general is you know that after 18 plus years of training and teaching jujitsu, uh, it if it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody, right? And here we have over two dozen law enforcement officers that currently train at our academy, and I've had this conversation with them, right? They're more in line to have this situation happen to them on a daily basis. But yeah, one of the nicest towns in the state of Illinois, Wheaton, Illinois. I was it was just a daily Sunday grocery run. Um, my family. I had at the time my second son was a month old. If that. And my wife was with him in the back seat of our truck. We were going sit on a weekly grocery run, and there was just a gentleman in his car who, you know, having some, in my opinion, mental issues. Through the exchange of words, turns out that he just picked me out of the group because he saw me as a smaller person, and he felt that he was at an advantageous point to essentially bully me, pick on me, right? And after several warnings of telling him to get in his car and leave, because I was at the end of the day, I was with my family, and that was my first priority. But once he kind of pushed the point, kind of pushed the issue to the point where my family was now in danger. Now I needed to defend myself and my family, and ultimately, it's A struggle that probably took no more than 30 seconds. I think I had him upper handed within, I had double leg takedown and a mount in under 5 seconds. And for some of you guys watching out there that haven't experienced jiu-jitsu before, it might seem a little bit out of the ordinary. How can something happen so quickly? But that is how an altercation, a combat scenario can happen. I mean, within a blink of an eye, within a couple seconds, you could either be on the receiving end or on the giving end of that exchange, right? And luckily for me, with the training that we have had that we share here at our academy, I was able to defend myself, and I was on the giving end of that altercation, right? So I think that gentleman learned very quickly that he had made a bad decision, and I think ultimately he in the police report he did tell the police officers, that he had made a mistake. So hopefully, the words of Master Hensel, that gentleman just needed some love and he needed some direction, and I hope I was able to give him that day. But yeah, it did take a long time. I mean, but previous to that, I mean, it's just throughout my years of training jujitsu, big guys have bumped into me in the bar or in a restaurant and whatnot, and I think as the more as a trained athlete, you learn to kind of just, hey man, my fault, and move on with your day. It's not worth it. Like I said, I mean, the one time that I did need to utilize my skills was because my family was in danger, right? And I needed to stand up for my loved ones. So hopefully, that's something that, if that's on the top of your mind, guys, come on by. I'd love to get into more detail about my story and how Jiu-Jitsu helped me defend my family. And, hopefully it's something that we can do to assist you as well.
Our third question, Professor, is what is the best and worst part about running a jiu-jitsu school and being a coach?
Ah, So I mean, the best part is being able to share, the mat with lots of like-minded individuals and people that also truly love and enjoy jiu-jitsu. Throughout the years, you bond with everyone, and I think that's what holds us together. People come in and you hit a few points of resistance. Everybody does. It's normal. What do I mean by resistance? There comes those days where it's hard to get in through the door. It's hard to get up. It's hard, you name it, right? We have it happens, in all different hobbies and scenarios. But the stronger we become mentally, the more our group starts to grow, right? And I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the change in people. At the same time, I'd love to meet new people. I love to, get to see our regulars, week in and week out. At the end of the day, I see our students here more frequently than I see my extended family. Just to kind of put things into perspective, I mean, I think for a lot of my students, it's kind of the same thing. It's like they see their teammates here more often than not. I've seen Max 5 days this week. I see my aunt, once a month. Just to be a little silly there, but I think that's the best part. It's just the camaraderie, be able to share, something nice with everybody, but at the same time, be able to stay in shape and grow a skill set that I can share with my boys. I think the worst part, which is not a deal killer, but at the end of the day, it is a job, and I think sometimes that people don't take into consideration. I mean, there's obstacles that as the academy keeps growing, that I'm learning to work with and deal with, and I enjoy the challenge. But I will say, as out of all the jobs that I've had throughout my life, uh, the job portion of running an academy has never gotten easier. I think as we keep scaling, it just keeps getting more challenging. But again, I love and enjoy the challenge.
What would you say are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to coaching?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think one of my strengths is the fact that throughout my entire jiu-jitsu career, I've always been competing. So it's always helped me see things through a different scope. I think if you haven't been there, haven't done that, it's going to be very hard to share that experience with somebody that's seeking the same type of journey. But I think with the community that we have here, it's also opened me up to see, the other benefits that, jujitsu can be for people, right? So not just from the competitive standpoint that maybe a lot of people think about when they think about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but also, how can jujitsu, or how can my experience and my knowledge help the average person that comes in through our doors be a better father, better role model, a better student, a better teacher. For some of my professors that train here. Um, so I think because of my age and because of my experience level, it helps me be very well rounded. To the point where I can, especially with my older students, I can, the structure that we have here, I can train them in a way where they're going to be able to get the most out of jiu-jitsu without risking injury, right? At the end of the day, we want to be able to keep people on the mat. And it's something that I learned throughout the time is how to do that properly in a safe setting for everybody without me having to separate age groups into different classes, right? Because I want everybody to be able to bond. I want everybody come together. But communication, I think, is also a strong point of myself as an instructor, being able to deliver that message to all different personalities to make sure that everybody is always taking care of their training partners. And my weaknesses, I think, we can always grow as we're always, for example, we're always innovating our youth program. So um, I think sometimes for me, uh, delegating responsibilities, right? I like to be hands-on. I like to be involved with everybody. I like to be able to communicate with everyone. That I can kind of has been a detriment to how I give other assistant instructors responsibility, or my front desk, or even who I trust with work outside of the mat space. Just recently, I've had help with, just minor repairs in the academy, which in the past I would have done myself, right? So, but I trusted in other people who have better skill set in that to assist. But, past that, I think just, you know, work life, my balance between teaching classes and everything else that goes on behind the scenes. Being able to teach a high energy class because I'm not running myself down doing other things. But thankfully throughout the years we've been able to gather a really good staff and a really good group of students that have rallied and kind of helped keep me up. From many of you that don't know, I didn't take my first vacation since opening up our academies until we were 8 years into the academy. So it was a new experience for me. That was a weak part of me in general, was that not taking time to myself, but I saw it as something that would provide value to the academy, because the more energized I am, the more recovered I am, the better instructor I can be to our students here. So now, taking time to myself, taking time for my family has become a part of my weekly, monthly, yearly routine.
So the last question we have for you today is, when did you know you wanted to open a jiu-jitsu school, and how did you come up with the name?
Okay. So that's two questions. So when I knew that I wanted to be to open up an academy, because I wanted to be more involved with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I had put in so much time and so much effort, that I thought that doing anything other than opening up an academy would have been a waste of my skill set and the knowledge that I had gained throughout the years. Sharing the mat with very intellectuals, very very high level intellectual practitioners. I just kind of felt like it was always my duty and my calling to be able to gather that. Past that, I always, I come from an entrepreneurial family, so it's kind of always been, stitched into our DNA to kind of, create something, help it evolve, and share that, and help solve those problems, with other people, to help them navigate through their daily routine or weekly routines as well. And the name is pretty, I say general, but at one point in time, we were training out of an academy. It was an MMA academy, and there was a little bit of a disagreement between the owners. So ultimately, at the end of the day, our jiu-jitsu team got ousted out. at the academy where I was teaching classes, same kind of deal. It was, it was kind of a rough patch in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA in our area, and for people that were invested into it, I think it wasn't worth the challenges for them financially. So they said, hey, we're going to cut this out. We're focusing on kind of what pays the bills at the end of the day. But throughout those two experiences, it just showed me that there was a need for what we were doing. And, a group of guys gathered, and since we didn't really have a stable place to train at the time, I had already invested into some mats years prior that I had set up in the basement of my house that I had purchased, previous to that. And guys would come over and start training, and then, with my little experience at the time of teaching, the more comfortable I became with it, people started giving me feedback and saying, "Hey, man, I really was able to, implement this into my games. Has really helped me out." It was really interesting the way that you explain certain things and details that just made it make sense for me. So I think just a lot of the encouragement from the people that I had around me at the time, again, back to planting seeds, kind of, planted that seed and said, hey, well, because I knew early on, like, not just anybody could teach, because I had been not only had I been in a room with a lot of really, really good instructors, at the same time, I had been in rooms where, I had noticed there was some, there was some issues in the way that I had seen some people teach, because ultimately I'd have a partner, and the instructor would show the technique, and then my partner was really confused with the technique, and I'd be like, okay, well, if we change this and this, it's going to help you out a little bit more. I was a little bit more experienced, so I saw how the challenges, and some people would talk to me about, I have a hard time showing this, I have a hard time showing that. For a lot of new instructors, or some instructors in general, it's like they do okay, or with teaching what they're good at. But I think a sign of a better instructor, a great instructor, is being able to teach things that it's not something that they do on a day-to-day basis, right? Because for example, Max's game is going to be different than my game, so being able to, to think on your toes, to be able to show techniques, to explain techniques, explain details from a different perspective, I think is a skill set in itself. And I think it's something that's teachable with patience, and patience and a good mindset. I think all that is teachable with time. So, if somebody ever comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to become an instructor," I'd be more than happy to help them gain that knowledge and that skill set. For some, it might come a little bit sooner. For some, it might take a little bit longer. But that's a long-winded version of it. But yeah, ultimately, so that kind of, from our basement group is where the B games come from. So it's kind of paying homage to that original group that started out with us. They gave us the courage to pursue what we're pursuing today. And throughout the time, we've added hundreds of people to that group. So I'm very grateful for that. All right, perfect, guys. So, again, thank you for tuning on in to what I think is a little bit longer episode of our of our Ask Professor Bruce. But if there's any questions that you guys would you like me to answer for you guys, please feel free to write them down in the comments down below. We look at all our comments, and we personally respond back to all of them. So, if there's a question you guys have for us, guys, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to address it on our next episode. Again, thank you for chiming in, and Ask Professor Bruce.
See you guys.